Hey everyone, it's Devin of Darkstar Games, and welcome back to the making of Crisis of DreamCell. Last time, I went over the game's earliest state, how we worked on it when it was a capstone project for college, along with some cut content. In this video, I will explain the game's development from its finishing stages for capstone to its start for the demo. Firstly, towards the end of capstone, we started to get what would become the main plot of the game. We were told only to work on the game's design and not worry about the story. But we couldn't create levels if we didn't know why we were in them to begin with. We then laid out the basic plot, which was you're a scientist with an experimental suit and gun trying to escape. This allowed us to have freedom with the levels and to expand on the world while keeping to the core of this main plot. Since we had such a simple plot early in development, we needed a way to show some of the story. This came in the form of environmental storytelling, cutscenes, and notes that you would find within the world. We would take the levels that we first designed and start to piece them together like puzzle pieces, taking certain gameplay aspects into how the game would work around them and keep the player flowing through them without getting too bored from exploration or exhausted from action segments. When deciding what levels would come in what order, we knew that we had an ending level, but no opening level. Nothing to introduce the player into the world. That's when we decided to start working on an opening for the game. Not just a simple cutscene, but an entire set of levels that would show the world before its events and give the player a tutorial on the controls and how to play in a controlled environment. I was very inspired by Half-Life's opening to give the player an exploration section, kind of like a calm before the storm feel, giving them a moment to explore and get used to the world around them before the main plot unfolds. After this, we then got the levels into a basic order and started to work on improving the capstone version of the game. During testing, we were given feedback on how to interact with different objects. Some players didn't understand with the basic blockout that some objects were doors or some objects were just simple keys to interact with. So we implemented a prompt that would pop up on screen to tell the players that they are in range to interact. This was very simple at first since we had such short time to get it working with every interactable within the game at this point. It did help with telling the player what they could and could not interact with, but then was too intrusive for the minimalistic HUD that we were wanting to go for. We then decided on a more simple way, having a texture pop up above the objects that you can interact with. This helped with our minimalist UI that we were going for, while also showing to the player what objects they can interact with. As stated before, when we started focusing more on the story of the game, we would then change up some of the levels. Even though they were just simple blockouts at this point, there was still a lot of work put into them. Some members of the dev team wanted to start completely from scratch a few times, but we had to make sure that the levels would all keep their same feel from their original test versions. We wanted to improve on what we had, not completely destroy it. Some levels would be started from scratch, but it would still have the same feel and kind of basic layout that we were working on, improving on what was previously conceptualized with each iteration of the levels that we worked on. They kept improving more and more, making the experience for the player that much more enjoyable once we started seeing all the main mechanics in action. Another way that we wanted to improve the player's experience is by adding cinematics to the game. I am personally a huge fan of Hideo Kojima's work and love the cinematic feel that his games bring with it. I explained to the dev team that I wanted to add cinematics and make them a core feature of the game moving forward. They were all very excited to see what I could create. I started with a few cutscenes showcasing levels and moved on to making more in-depth sequences as the game progressed. Since I was thoroughly enjoying making these, we decided that each level would have at least one cinematic to showcase the level. Most of the levels would include many more than just one cinematic. I felt that they really showed off the levels and could guide the player to a main goal, as well as have a bit of story within it, showing the actions of the player as he fights his way out or showcasing the actions of the enemies as they've destroyed the facility. Around this time, we were nearing the end of Capstone, but the game was far from done. There were only a few levels that could be considered a near finished state at this point, but still need some work. So we decided to keep working on the project after graduation. Since we all were very passionate about the game, we wanted to take as long as we needed to make it the best experience for the players. Since most of the dev team has other full-time jobs, we aren't able to work on it as much as we'd like, but we do keep up with it on a regular basis. One main thing we wanted to get away from was crunch. We hated having crunch almost every single week because of the hefty amount of work that was put onto us week to week. So we decided that we would have soft deadlines. make sure most of the work assigned would be done within a decent amount of time. Instead of weekly deadlines, we would extend it based on what was being done. After graduation, we took some time off of development as a nice break from the months of work that we just finished. During that time, I was setting everything up for us to jump back into developing a demo for the game. After taking about a month off, we jumped back into development for the demo. This would include 3 levels at different key points within the story to showcase different moods and set pieces that you would encounter in the full game. In the full game, these levels do not connect in the way that they're shown within the demo. We wanted 3 different points within the story to give enough of a backstory to the world and allow the player to get engrossed within it while wanting more. That's where the game is currently in development. We're avidly working on the finishing touches for the gameplay and levels. In the next video, I will explain the demo's development, how we grew the 3 levels into what they are today. Another topic that we will cover is music and levels individually. I will bring on the 2 composers who are helping with the project, as well as the designers of the levels individually, and we'll take a deeper dive into the demo's development and the creation of this entire game. Thank you all for watching. We can't wait for you to experience the Crisis of DreamCell demo. Links will be below to the game's official pages, as well as the newest trailer showcasing more of the demo in action, so please take a look. If you would like to support our development, please subscribe and follow our other social media pages below for the newest details on development, as well as when new devlogs, animations, and gaming videos are uploaded. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video.